I want to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety Committee for Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. It's good to see each and every one of you here on this stormy night. At this time, we're going to ask that our Vice Chairman give us the approval of our minutes.
Chairman, I've read the minutes and saw no problems. Move to approve them as mailed.
Have a motion to approve our minutes. Have a second. Commissioner Serino. Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The minutes have been approved. Any public comments? Have any calls come in? We have no public comments tonight on our agenda. We do have a quorum. Item 3 is our Emergency Medical Service Report. Director Brian Gaither. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Before I do my report tonight, I want to, I think I discussed this a little bit at the last meeting, but this week is EMS week. So we're kind of celebrating our crews and with the different hospitals. So it's kind of been a busy week, but you know, I just wanted to publicly thank our service, our employees at our service. We have some of the best providers in the state. So just kind of, if you see any of them this week, just kind of give them an extra thank you or a shout out and recognize them for their service. So for the month of April, we made 3,161 calls. We did 18 interfacility transfers. Response time of 6 minutes and 57 seconds. We had 166 DOAs for the month. 23 of those were sent for autopsy for a cost of $57,500. Year-to-date autopsies are 265 with a year-to-date cost of $662,500. We collected $984,263 for the month. The next page is some meetings and some trainings we had, some various community events that we worked. Convalescent division did a total of 386 calls. They had a collections of $117,092. And then the next few pages are kind of the more detailed report on which ambulance, which station, which shift, those type things. And Commissioner Beverly's not here. I won't go too in depth on the going from the Murfreesboro trucks going into the north end calls, but that's on page 10 of that report. And then the next couple are some thank you notes that we received, and that is my report.
Any questions for the director?
Quick question. Are the response times, it is still slow getting to that north side of, in regards to ambulances and things like that?
Yeah, so, you know, over the past 3 weeks, we've kind of had some new challenges with what's going on with Ascension. So some, you know, the majority of our calls are made in Murfreesboro, and so those trucks are having to transport to other hospitals, mostly Stonecrest. But even with those trucks kind of being out of pocket, you know, anytime we see the response times less than 7 minutes, we're pretty happy with those.
Other questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. And a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the report, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Report has been approved. I believe you have a budget amendment as well as a discussion on the coroner to medical examiner as well as some other items.
Yes, sir. So you want to do all of these as one? Are you okay with them as one?
What you've got, I think we need to do them separately, sir.
Okay. So the first one is moving $40,000 out of paraprofessional payroll into part-time payroll. That's due to some vacancies that we haven't filled, and we filled those vacancies with part-time people, and that line item is going to be a little short.
Questions?
Question, please. You say you moved them from full-time to part-time because you feel part-time. Does that mean those full-time positions are eliminated, or how does that work?
They were just vacant, so that line item for full-time payroll, we're just borrowing from that to pay the people that have covered those empty slots. It's not eliminating any positions.
So in your budget moving forward, you'll still have those positions available?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, before we get, what I want you to do is just explain each one of these brackets for us, Brian.
Okay.
And then we'll approve all of that at one time.
Okay. So the next one is moving $10,000 from motor vehicles into uniforms, $10,000 from motor vehicles into uniforms, and that is due to the fact of we've hired 39 people since January 1. So to get those people outfitted in uniforms, that uniform line item is going to come up a little short. And the last one is $40,000 from health equipment line item into other contracted services, and that most of that is due to an increase that we're having to pay our billing company because the revenue was a little better than we projected. We pay a percentage of what they receive, so that looks like it's that contracted services line item is going to be a little short towards the end of the year as well.
Any questions on these? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is approved. Commissioner Oliver, second. Commissioner McMurray. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. It is approved. Next item.
So the next thing is I was supposed to do this last month and I forgot. It's a resolution to do away with the county coroner. Because we have a medical examiner's office, those duties kind of intertwine, and we do not need to have a coroner and a medical examiner. So working with Mr. Elam and the county attorney, he's come up with a resolution to abolish the coroner and put all of that under the medical examiner's office. So I'm going to read it, and I'm going to read it, and then I'll be happy to give it to you. So
Before
whereas
you read that, Brian, what you're doing is rolling those two positions into one.
Yes, sir.
So we'll still have both of those positions.
It's basically the same thing with the medical examiner name.
Exactly, and we've been doing that for several months anyway, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So whereas TCA 8-9-101 gives the county legislative body the discretionary authority to create the office of the county coroner, and whereas there exists in Rutherford County an office of county coroner, and whereas the term of the office for county coroner is 2 years, and whereas the last county coroner term expired December 2023, and whereas pursuant to TCA 8-9-101, in counties that have county medical examiner, the county legislative body may invest the duties of the county coroner into the county medical examiner and shall not be required to elect a county coroner. And whereas Rutherford County has had the county medical examiner many years and is required to have the same by law, and whereas county medical examiner and medical investigators working under the medical examiner already perform the duties of the county coroner, and whereas it's not necessary for Rutherford County to have the office of the county coroner, and the same shall be abolished. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the office of the county coroner in Rutherford County is hereby abolished, and further that all duties of the office of the county coroner are hereby vested in the county medical examiner.
Questions on the resolution?
Move to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner
Second.
Rather, second. Commissioner Serino. further discussion?
Quick question. Is there a salary that's attached to that line item? Or what's going to happen with that?
There is no salary associated with the county coroner. So historically, the county coroner has been the EMS director. When the previous EMS director retired, he wanted to remain the county coroner. I didn't have a problem with not becoming the county coroner. So Carl Hudgens has been the county attorney, coroner since 2018, 2019, whatever that term was. But it's very confusing, and Denise can go into more detail about it with you, but it's very conflicting to have both of those offices.
Oh, I can understand what you're saying. You're rolling the duties under one umbrella. But I'm just curious about, was there a salary attached to that county coroner?
No, ma'am.
And what happens with those funds?
Yeah, there was no salary
The county
with
coroner
the
was
county
working
coroner.
as the EMS director, so the salary was in that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
There's no further discussion. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Is approved.
And the last thing I bring before you is the medical examiner's office is, two of the death investigators those salaries are paid under a grant. And we're looking to extend that grant and also apply for another grant. So that's Denise's field. I've introduced it. If you have questions, I'll be happy to have her come up and answer those questions.
You have copies of this information. Would you like Ms. Martin to come forward?
We're want to apply for 2 grants. Neither of them require any matching money, correct?
No.
Neither of them require matching money. Are either of them rollover grants that we currently have right now, or are these new?
So one of those would be to extend the one that we currently have.
Is that the opioid one?
Yes.
Okay. And the other one is new?
Yes.
Move to
Motion to
approve.
approve. Yeah.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. It has been approved.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Fire and Rescue Report.
Thank you.
Chief Farley will not be here this evening. He's had surgery last week. He's had shoulder replacement, and I talked to him yesterday. He's doing well, I believe, and
Yes, sir.
becoming the bionic chief, isn't he?
Yes, sir. He'll be all put together with fresh parts here soon. So I'm Josh Sanders. I'm your county fire marshal, stepping in for Chief Farley with your April report. For you, you'll have our April numbers. In the month of April, we had 5 structure fires, 5 vehicle fires, combination of 14 brush-type fires, 4 missing person searches for a total of, amongst the other calls, a total of 703 calls for service. Next page, you'll see our year-to-date report. Year-to-date, we're at 18 structure fires, 21 vehicle fires, 43 outside or brush fires, a total of 268 motor vehicle accidents, 9 of which required extrication, and 3 water rescues. Total year-to-date call volume at 2938. Your next page will show your year-to-date call volume for the remaining volunteer departments, as well as their training hours, followed by the report we give to building codes for structures damaged by fire. After that, you'll see our Fire Marshal's Office Investigation Unit Report. Pretty busy month for April. We had one arrest made on an illegal burn back on the 18th. And then following that, you'll find our illegal burn report, total burns that were ruled unauthorized or illegal. And that concludes my report, and then following that, I'll have a lease agreement and a commendation letter.
Okay. Questions on the report?
I have a question. I'm just curious. I noticed that the arrest was made. What, like, do you give them like so many warnings, or how does that go into effect on you arresting someone?
So I can say that case is still pending litigation, so I can't share a tremendous amount of details. However, that one was domestic related. The best way to classify it was an illegal burn. However, it was actually a Class E felony for the materials that were burned. So, but typically, yes. So if we're just talking about unpermitted burns or burnings of illegal materials, meaning non-natural vegetation, plastics, things like that, yes, absolutely. Generally, it's a warning, if not multiple warnings. If it's blatant or if it's if they're non-compliant and hostile towards personnel, then we look a little bit further enforcement beyond that. And again, that's always usually a citation for illegal burning. Obviously, in this case, it didn't meet the classification, based on classification criteria of like a residence or a vehicle. It was personal property that was burned in that case. Absolutely.
Question.
Yes.
I'm always intrigued by the dispatched and canceled numbers. And I was curious, do you all ever look at that and how that might impact responding to true emergencies when you're dispatching and having to cancel?
Well, many of those dispatch and cancel routes, just a classification that NEFRS requires for calls where we were initially sent but perhaps canceled. So that could be anything from dispatch to a fire alarm that ultimately the dispatch center got in touch with the resident and they said everything's fine. It could be a situation where there was a true emergency, a motor vehicle accident, another crew gets there, another agency such as the sheriff's office or EMS gets there and says it's a minor MVA, but we don't necessarily need any further fire response. It could even be a dispatch as a structure fire, and then we find out later that that actually wasn't the case. So there's a number of ways that can fall into that classification. We're obviously always looking at our numbers and seeing how we can best provide response to the citizens of Rutherford County. In that case, that really can be anything to begin with. It just ends up being a canceled response. And typically, like I said, we don't typically have a tremendous amount of those, but they do get classified. And even currently, where we still have the remaining volunteer departments, they may get on something initially that was an actual emergency, but they're able to handle with those resources. So it gets those resources that were canceled back in service to be able to continue to protect those areas, if that makes sense. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
On that note, would it be possible to start getting a breakdown of the, I guess, the number of calls per the station that are canceled en route, so we can kind of, I guess, allocate our resources? Not. It feels like if we have so many canceled, we're spending a lot of wear and tear on the machines, a lot of fuel, etc. But I get the all hands approach when the unknown is out there. Just kind of wanted to see where we can tighten up some of our algorithms.
Yeah, so very, very few of our responses, if any, require an all-hands approach. So all of our call types are dispatched by resource needs. So for any given call, there may just be required one engine, or it may be required an engine and a rescue, or maybe required a brush truck and a tanker. So depending on the call type, it will assign specific resources. Very rarely do we ever have an all-hands dispatch unless the situation dictates. But usually that's even an initial dispatch of what the required response is that is then requested additional alarms, if you will, for the needs of that incident. Does that make sense?
Well, does it also include like the breakdown for the municipalities, the agreements we have with them, like whether, like if something happens on the VA side, and are we counting these numbers when Murfreesboro answers our dispatch over there, or are we taking Rockville
None
and
of
kind of
these
skipping
numbers
over
reflect
Murfreesboro,
any
et cetera?
response by any municipality. This is strictly our numbers.
Straight.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Before you go into your next item, I do want to say something. Of course, all of us know what happened on May 8th. I want to recognize Joshua Sanders as well as Kyle Frazier. It was Engine 51 crew that answered that call out in Barfield. And it was Joshua Sanders, our fire marshal, and Kyle Frazier that did find the young man. And they were the individuals that began CPR that evening. And I just want to say thank you for their quick action and what they did there. You know, we always hear of these things, but I want you to know these young men were the men that were there. I know what they went through. I know what they were involved with. No, I know we don't like the results and what finally happened, but they were fast. They were quick to get there. Station 51 was there in just a matter of minutes and did what they could do. Fire Marshal Sanders, I say thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Now we'll move on to your rest of your business, sir.
The next page in that document that you should have is a lease agreement with the dissolution of the Las Casas Volunteer Fire Department. Part of that came with the dissolution of a prior agreement with a Miss Penny Hooper in the Milton community. She had provided a second facility for the Las Casas Volunteer Fire Department up in the Milton area. That building was largely used to supplement not only response, but also to provide for a lower ISO rating for those individuals out in that further portion of the county. Obviously, it's our goal to continue to maintain a low ISO rating for our citizens so they can maintain low insurance premiums for their homes. To that effect, between the chief, the county attorney, they have prepared that lease agreement that should be before you. This lease agreement would provide that same facility to which we would be able to house an apparatus, again, to help with the ISO coverage in that area, and also help with any volunteers that we have in that area for Rutherford County to provide response in the Milton community. That lease agreement is before you. The gist of it is it's a 10-year renewing lease for 3 consecutive terms, a base rent for a total of $10 for the total term. In short, county would assume all utilities, maintenance, insurance for that facility. Any cost of improvements, any cost of HVAC obviously come at the expense of the county. But other than that, she is asking for no further reimbursement or fees. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Sir.
Is this going to be a functional fire hall or more of a storage?
It's more of an engine storage. It would be, as it has been, a place where a volunteer or even a full-time person that may be out in that area could pick up that truck for response. So it would be functional in that sense. But it just gives us a larger ISO footprint to keep those insurance premiums down mainly. Now, the Las Casas station is down the road from that. ISO looks at basically a area of 5 miles from a station. That area gets a little bit further out beyond that, so then it gives us another diameter of 5 miles from that station, from that facility, to help keep those ISO ratings down. So it wouldn't be a full-time staff station. It would be something that a volunteer could pick up, or we could send a crew out there to get a truck if it was needed.
Other questions?
I just want to make a comment, Chairman, if I could. I experienced this out in the Mona area where a fire truck was moved.
Yes, sir.
You do not want all those phone calls because everybody's home insurance goes up and they can't afford it. So having a truck out there for $10 for a 3-year period Now, I understand the utilities that are gonna be 0 to nothing,
You're right.
and yes, somebody close by could stop by and pick up that truck and respond, but this helps citizens, in my opinion, in my experience, so I'm all for it.
We had the Rockville station closed in 2012. We kept a engine, and I think a brush truck was in that one until '23. So that's 12 years we kept it in that one, and it affected the ISO of keeping it down within that community there. And there was individuals who knew how to operate that piece of equipment, that if it was needed, it was there. And it's the same situation as we're talking about right here.
And to expand on that, we have similar facilities in the Leanna community, the Mona community, as you mentioned, and this would just be another of the same.
Other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. And a second. Call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes,
Thank you.
it does pass. Anything else, sir?
And finally, I have one letter of commendation for some of our personnel. You should have that in front of you. I'm happy to read it should anybody like me to. But it was subject to an individual in the Kittrell community near the new Kittrell station. The individual began feeling ill. Our firefighter started this initial assessment, got an ambulance to come and assist, both Engine 54 and Medic 54, so definitely a commendation to Director Gaither's personnel as well. Those personnel were Captain Sam Christopher, Engineer Cameron Jacobs, Firefighter Cohen Bennett, Firefighter Trey Rose, and Firefighter Samuel Gordon. The medic crew that day was Scott Overholt and Kiki Matthews. So we appreciate those letters of commendation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, just a question. It might be more rhetorical than anything, but just trying to sort it out in the mind. I get the facility with the lease agreement going for an ISO rating, but with the equipment sitting there, the facility sitting there, it just feels like that'd be a good way. And then you said we did, what, 12 years like that at Rockville? That'd be a good way to do our transition to where we have a spot for anybody in the community who can't be full-time but wants to volunteer, to have that hub of response. And then communities can keep volunteer services as we grow into this countywide program. Just seems like a good way to both keep their insurance ratings low and keep the tax base low. Just kind of where I'm thinking about. We'll mull over that some more, and I'd like to reach out to you later, Tom, and kind of talk out that.
You can call me anytime.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff's Office report. Chief Spence.
Good evening. This morning, our inmate population was 948. This afternoon, 946. Communications has 6 openings. SROs have 3 openings. Detention has 37 opens with 5 applicants in the background stage. And patrol has 18 positions opening with 4 applicants in the background stage. In my report.
Questions on the report?
Move to approve.
Motion to
Second.
approve and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Report has been approved.
Thank you, sir. This amendment is to provide additional funds for overtime needed for employees covering vacant positions in FMLA and to provide additional funds for food supplies. We're requesting to take $310,000 from guard salary, placing $180,000 into the overtime and $130,000 into the food supplies.
Questions on the amendment?
Move to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner Rather.
Second.
And a second. Commissioner McMurray, further discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. It approved.
Thank you, sir. We are requesting to apply for and enter into an interlocal agreement with the City of Murfreesboro related to the 2024 Justice Assistant Grant. The funding for each agency would be between $28,000 and $34,000 based on the formula-based allocations. We request Mayor Carr to accept and sign the MOU with the City of Murfreesboro. There's no matching on this grant.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion approved. Commissioner McMurray.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sereno. Other questions on the grant? Call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's approved.
You have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Pause. Director Michael Gregory.
Good evening. For the month of April, you can see that we had 412 animals come into the shelter. We had a euthanasia percentage of 6.7%, an overall live release rate of 92.4%. Our officers completed out 1,101 calls, and they traveled 7,655 miles. Fiscal year to date, 3,909 animals into the shelter, a live release rate of 92.7%. Officers have completed out 11,610 calls, traveling a little over 83,000 miles. On the rabies and bite exposure report, remember this goes by calendar year. We had 38 bites reported for the month. None of those were sent for testing. We had 4 other exposures. None of those were sent for testing as well. Just as a note, when it comes to the rabies report, this came in during the month of May, so it will be on next month's report, but I did want to go ahead if you had heard anything regarding it. There was a bison that tested positive in Rutherford County in a Murfreesboro zone close to the Buchanan zone, and I just wanted to read to you what the state had said over this bison that did test positive. It said it's the first bison to test positive in Tennessee and only the 7th in the U.S. since 1960. All other 6 positives were in the West, Midwest, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Colorado. This particular bison had neurological symptoms, and the property had been experiencing a skunk problem. This specimen was sent to the CDC for variant typing. They believe that it's probably going to come back as a skunk variant, but that's not been confirmed yet. I just wanted to say that to you all so that everybody knows that just because we have animals that don't have a bite or an exposure that are sent for testing, there is always rabies within the county, and highly encourage our folks to make sure that their animals are current on their rabies vaccinations. And then the last page of your report is just the graph that I give you all showing the outcomes in euthanasia, just so you can see that visually. That is my report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Questions?
I have a quick question. Were there other bison tested on the same property?
None of the others, to my knowledge, had shown any type of symptoms, so didn't indicate testing at that point. This was handled more by the Department of Health and Department of Ag. We did receive the results. They ran with it from there. There was some concern. We were kind of asked, would we go out and canvass neighborhoods? Well, it was in a large neighborhood. There would be no way for us to go to make sure every animal in that community had been vaccinated, other than just to highly encourage all folks make sure their animals are vaccinated to help prevent this.
Anyone else?
Director, are there any PSAs to assist with that effort?
That's not something we have done. Being that it was not our particular case, we left that to the Department of Health to determine what type of things were to go out. 2 or 3 months ago, there was also a horse that had tested positive down in Shelbyville, and they handled putting out press releases and things on that. And being that it was their case, we indicated to them to follow their normal procedure on that.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second, Commissioner James. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, your report has been approved.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you. OSHA. And Susan Thompson tonight. Good evening. Thank you.
Good evening. This report is on the month of April. For the month of April, we had 27 incidences. That brings our year-to-date total to 87. Of those 87, there was 65 OSHA recordable, with a total of 15 lost day claims, 43 restricted day claims, and 7 other recordables. On the next page, you'll see our year-to-date totals compared to last year and 2022, with 2024 being at 87, 2023 89, and 2022 at 54. The next page is the incurred dollars for 2024 is $556,000. For 2023, we're at $325,000, and 2022, $192,000. And then the last page is the breakdown of the 27 claims, with 19 being at the Board of Ed, 8 being at County General, and of those 8, there was 2 at Fire and Rescue and 6 at the Sheriff's Department. And that concludes my report.
Questions on the report? Commissioner James.
The rate's going higher, the cost looking at the bar graph, it looks extreme. Is it the cost of the type of injury that's coming now that we're finding, or was there like a one-off case in this scenario, or is it just, I guess, the inflation, the cost of everything?
So in April, there was 2 incidences that required surgery. So that was about $110,000 of the incurred dollars that they estimate for those claims. That's of that 283, which jumped April up significantly. But also for the previous years, in comparison, we did change TPAs July 1 of last year, and they have a completely different formulary for how they figure the incurred dollars, which is what they estimate the cost of each claim will be during the life of that claim. So under the former TPA, with this same number of claims, they would have estimated our incurred dollars to be only at $348,000. But the new TPA has a different formulary, which is more specific to each claim. Oftentimes, they are able to negotiate and get those rates lower. Us getting employees back to work on restricted duty versus lost day claims with indemnity also reduces those costs. So April was kind of an extraordinary month, unfortunately, with those 2 that needed surgery.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Commissioner James. Second. Commissioner Rather. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the report, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the report has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Recovery Court. I think we have Lori tonight. Lori Flippo.
Okay, the first thing I have is our numbers report for our graduations and terminations in April and what our current numbers are. In April, we had 4 graduations, 2 of which were in our DUI evening program and 2 in our mental health court program. And we had 2 terminations in our mental health court program. Currently, we have 187 people in our program. 47 are in our drug court program. 29 are in our evening DUI court program. 34 are in our day DUI court program. 63 are in our mental health court program, and 14 are in the veterans court program. We currently have 70 people that are in our application process and 29 people that have completed that application process and are pending court dates to come into the program. And that is all of that report.
Have the report. Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the report. Have a second?
Thank you. The next thing I have is,
Let me get a vote.
sorry.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, it has been approved. Now, I think you got several little things there, haven't
I
you?
do. I have a few different things.
Okay.
The next thing I have is a request for a grant for Recovery Court. We're asking permission to apply for the BJA 2024 Veterans Treatment Court Discretionary Grant. This is a no-match grant with funding up to $1 million over 4 years.
heard the request.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner James. Any questions? Any questions?
I'm just trying to see which item she's on. Approved up to $1 million, but thanks.
All right, call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes,
Thank you.
has been approved. Next.
Next, we have a budget amendment for the Reentry Career Training Grant. The request is to move $5,250 out of line 790 and place it into lines 310 and line 499.
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Is approved.
Thank you. The last thing I have is a grant amendment for the Reentry Program's evidence-based programming grant. This is a grant that has been previously approved. We are asking permission for the state to fund 2 new positions to the resolution. It will remain a no-match grant and stay within the budget of up to $1 million.
Questions?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Commissioner Rather.
Second.
Second. Commissioner McMurray. Further discussion? Roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Has been approved.
Thank you. That is all of my reports.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right. Probation report. Haley.
Good evening. Our report for April with Probation Recovery Services, we closed out a total of 455 cases, which was a total of 407 people. We had an active supervision number of 1,270 people for the month of April. In our various programs and classes, and I'm going to apologize right there because I gave you the numbers for each class, but I think I left off the total. So we had 81 total participants in our different classes and programs. 12 successfully completed during the month, and 7 were discharged unsuccessfully for various reasons. With our Olive Branch clothing and food pantry, we were able to assist 3 clients during the month of April. With the 10 Rocks program in General Sessions Court, we had a total of 20 participants. There is 1 pending a court date, so hopefully he will be able to enter at a court date. No graduations and no discharges from that program during the month of April. On the bottom of our report, you can see the numbers. We sent over a total of $18,777 to the clerk's office for payment agreements during the month, which brought that fiscal year total to $160,761. The cases that we closed and could not send over to the clerks equaled a total of 7,180 for a fiscal year total of $50,696. And along those same lines, we supervised 9 individuals for the month that the court had ruled were indigent. And that would be my report for April.
Questions on the report?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner Oliver.
Second.
Second. Commissioner Sereno. Further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, your report has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Correctional Work Center. Lieutenant Cope.
Good evening. I have my normal report, and then I also have one budget amendment and 2 contract renewals. In the report, though, you will see our May 6th Work Center Board meeting. Next in there will be the work release program statistics, which work release is still going great. Our yearly activity report, population staying about the same. In April, total trash collected on county and state routes are as followed. County roads, county trash collected 8,992 pounds. State routes, 678 bags were collected. Also in that report is going to be our monthly worker report showing a combined total savings to the county of $75,676 using inmate labor. And then you'll see our medical CQI stats in there. And that is my report.
You have the report. Any questions on the report? Mr. Chairman.
Part of that report deals with the board's minutes, and there's a paragraph in that minute along with the letter toward the end of it. Let me just kind of read a little bit of it. Superintendent Cope was awarded the 2024 Patrick Mahoney Leadership Award from the National Association of Reentry Professionals on Monday, April the 15th. This award is the highest decorated award an individual who has demonstrated exceptional leadership in the reentry program. I would like to have that entered separately into the minutes. And that's also a shout out.
Thank you, Chairman Phillips. Appreciate that. Thank you all.
Any other comments? Do we have anything else?
Motion to approve.
That's what I'll take right there. Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second right over here. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Yes, sir.
Next is our budget amendment. That'll be the next in your packet there. And this amendment was a suggestion by our state grant contact and our county grant coordinator, and that is to move $17,000 from gasoline and other litter supplies and move that to salaries, just to kind of shore up some of that grant money that we use throughout the year. And that's all reimbursement for the staff that we use.
You have a budget amendment before you. Questions on the budget amendment?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Commissioner Oliver.
Second.
Second. Commissioner McMurray. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Approved.
And next we have our Tennessee Department of Transportation contract, which is not to be confused with the grant that we receive every year. We also have a contract that pays for the cleanup of state routes. And this is one that we've gotten for, several years, and it's a yearly contract. The contract stays the same as it was last year, and that's where they reimburse us to use inmate labor going out and cleaning up the state routes.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Commissioner Reed.
Yes. It has been approved.
And lastly is our contract with Corson Fire Supply, our fire suppression system. That takes care of our fire extinguishers, our fire alarms, our sprinkler system, our backflow, the kitchen fire suppression systems, a little bit of everything, fire protection. And they did increase this year, and it's the first time that they've increased in several years, but $770 increase, but that's still $4,978 per year for that service.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Oliver.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Serino. Further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. It is approved.
That is it, and I thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman Reed,
Yes.
everybody in this crowd here was in the commission meeting when Sergeant Thad O'Cleary was recognized. And some of us, me included, thought it was appropriate to recognize that in public safety. So just to refresh us, he achieved the esteemed designation of certified jail officer. Amongst so many other acknowledgments and certifications and hard work and dedication and education and commitment to Rutherford County. So I would like that added into the minutes, that we applaud the work you do and the ethic that you do it, the diligence, and just being proactive. Great guy.
Sir, I remember that night at the commission, you gave us one of these. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Commissioner. Juvenile Detention Report. And Duke.
Good evening. Before you, you have our reports for the month of April. And included in those reports are the numbers that you're used to seeing on a regular basis, the minutes from our last board meeting, excuse me, our detained and released information, STD information, education and facility programming. And then if you have any questions about those, when we wrap up the report, I do have some MOUs to discuss with the Board of Education.
Okay. Questions on the report? Or a motion?
I have a question. Can I get a couple of minutes?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Ms. Duke, while Commissioner Oliver's searching, is there any updates on out-of-county juveniles, are we kind of up to date as far as those expenses and collecting those, that revenue from out of county? Are we kind of up to date?
We have several that we are still waiting to get checks from, but we've just switched over to a new billing program, and we had a minor calculating issue with it, so I expect some of them to be maybe a month late or so. So we're working on that. Additionally, the employee who gives us those numbers was out this week, and we don't have the as updated information as I would like to have, but I expect that by next month I will have those numbers like you're used to seeing them.
You have no concerns?
No, sir, I do not.
Thank you.
Commissioner Oliver?
Thank you. I was really trying to read the minutes. There were a couple of things I was just looking at, not necessarily searching, but just wanted to kind of be more familiar with these minutes. So I appreciate the time.
Anytime.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Commissioner McMurray. And a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the report, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, it has been approved. I believe we're looking at school board agreements.
So I have two MOUs between the Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center and the Board of Education. I don't know if you want me to take them separate or together.
They both relate to the same thing, I believe, don't they?
So one is for basic education services, and the other is for supplemental educational services. Basic is going to be what you're used to seeing with English and, let me get over to the right page here. Sorry. Is going to be English and those type things. The supplemental is going to be programming where the youth are work through transitioning back into the community, life skills, interview skills, and those type things. This does not include special education. That is just a service that the Board of Education provides directly to the kids, and there's no MOU. So the Board of Education employees for special ed kids actually come and meet with them separately from these two MOUs.
Discussion.
Did you want to take them together, sir?
I think we can. They're both similar, and you might just want to say, we'll just say the two.
Motion to approve both MOUs.
Motion made.
Second.
Second. Mr. McMurray. Further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner McMurray,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharino,
Yes.
Commissioner James,
Yes.
Commissioner Rather,
Yes.
Commissioner Oliver,
Aye.
Chairman Reed.
Yes,
Thank you.
it is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Emergency Services. Our Public Safety Report. Director Chris Clark.
Chairman, committee.
Good night for public safety.
It is. Miss Carla. Forget about Miss Carla. She's always taking care of us. Hopefully in front of you, you have our public safety report for the month of April 2024. I apologize for the delay. It was brought to my attention that we've shifted gears and came Wednesday night due to budget. So I apologize. One of the things that I'd like to point out is that we've had a kind of a train-the-trainer active shooter, multi-jurisdictional training. Started April the 30th, so at the end of the month, that led into May the 2nd. At the same time, We had an Emergency Management Association conference here on the same days, and so we had approximately 800 attendees from across the state. So we were running back and forth. I'd like to thank my staff for putting up with me and then taking care of all the things that needed to be done on those 3 days. I'll be honest with you, I missed a fishing tournament in Pickwick those days too. But anyways, also outside of the scope, we recently had severe weather on May the 8th. I wanted to bring you up to date. We had about 45 homes that were affected. We have FEMA coming in tomorrow to look at damages and looking at maybe some individual assistance programs and some other things that could occur to assist. It's been a busy spring. We anticipate more this weekend. I know that our spring fling is inactive, and I've been on the phone with those personnel, the president of TSSAA and all them. So we have a lot of people in town. You may notice that by traffic, but we also have severe weather. So I was on the phone prior to coming here with TSSAA and making sure that those folks they're outside, they're engrossed in the ball, and not paying attention to the weather. We want to make sure that they're safe as well. Also with Murfreesboro City and their parks and recs as well. I think that's about all I have. Oh, and one more thing. I'd also like to thank, we've been working a lot with Sumner County EMA. I was invited to, or asked to come up there once that individual went missing up there, and assisted that director, and then later on we brought in a multi-jurisdictional search teams from Rutherford County to Sumner County for that young man, and we hope that there are some good outcomes, but he's been gone for quite a while now, so. We're very active in our surrounding counties, assisting with Bedford County and some of the others, and we're always in conversation with those guys to stay situational aware, or what we can do to assist, or what they could assist us. So just kind of give you a heads up. We've got some weather that's going to move in this weekend. Stay close, be weather aware. I hope that we do not have to activate the shelters again, but we did have an outpour of 155 occupants within those shelters on May the 8th. We've got a lot of things going on.
Questions on the report?
I have a quick question. I know you stated be weather alert and things like that in shelters. We may have spoken on it in the past in regards to like partnerships with like News Channel 5, the safe places that they've put out there. Has there been anyone within the county, like churches or businesses, that has signed up for that way we can make our communities aware?
Yeah, we've had a couple of churches to reach out, and when you look on those, we have a kind of a phone tree or a notification system to those individuals at those churches, and whether they can open or they can't, just due to the staffing and things like that. There are a couple more questions that I want to ask our county attorney before we move forward anymore and press on with that public, even though the state did pass the no harm in the event that somebody got hurt during that tornado. I still have some questions, and I still need to seek some answers from our county attorney as we press on, because we're going to go in there and evaluate those structures to point out the best places to place. So you may have a church, but you can only fit 50 in a certain small space that would be the safest place in that building. Does that make sense?
Other questions or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The report is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for my delayed report.
No problem. Other business?
Chairman, I have one final comment. Continue, don't forget, when you're praying for Dr. Sullivan's family. I cannot imagine. Don't want to try to imagine, but just keep them in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good thoughts. If there's no other business be careful as you go home tonight, because it is, I just looked, there's a lot of rain out there right now.
Yeah. I actually did have a question. And I was just kind of curious with the naming of the Kittrell Public Safety Building, why that didn't come through this body?
It went
Was
through
it supposed to
property
just go, because I know other things related to those buildings have come through this body. So I was just kind of curious why that didn't.
It's just the methods that they use to go that direction.
Okay. All right.
I can't answer that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anything else? If not, we are adjourned.